live shooting, we picked the most difficult set ever. Smoke, mirrors in every direction. Love it. Welcome to Twilight.
You're listening to Another Bite of Twilight, a podcast where we look back on our obsession with the Twilight saga and continue to freak out 10 years later.
Hey guys.
Hey!
Merry Christmas.
If you're listening to this live or the day it comes out, it should be Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas. Or if you're not celebrating Christmas, I hope you still have a wonderful day.
And you hopefully have the day off.
Yeah. Maybe go to movies or
Get some Chinese food.
or
Watch TV.
Yeah.
Or
some kind of peppermint drink or something.
Listen to our podcast.
Yeah. And if you're not listening live, I hope whether it's April or June or something, you had a good Christmas. Anyway, I'm Kelly.
I'm Melissa.
And
This is Another Bite of Twilight.
we're back. Just got you back.
And just got you back, Bella. Again, if I don't get out now, I'm going to be stuck later.
We're going to get to that part.
This is also the last podcast of 2018.
Oh my gosh. You know, when I look back at 2018, I'll always remember this podcast. Like, this is what we did in 2018. This is one of the best things.
Which is funny because when I look back at 2008, the first thing I think of is
It's
Twilight.
I know. It's
So-
like 10 years.
2018.
I know.
Did you have a good 2018?
I think so. There were some ups and downs.
Yeah.
Some deaths in the family.
Yeah. A couple.
Sad.
Yeah.
Some downs, but also, yeah, some good times.
Some good
I went to
times.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Visited my friend Kristen. And yeah.
I graduated college.
Oh yeah, crazy.
I got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
You lost a job.
Yep. I got laid off.
Sounds like it.
I know. It
Wasn't that good.
It was a hard year.
It was a hard year.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot this year.
Me too. This was the year where I felt like I was really in the Showgirls or something.
Yeah.
Sex and the City.
You
like,
were a showgirl?
No, not a showgirl. I was in the show Girls. HBO.
Yes.
And I'm 24 now, so.
You are the age.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a time of a lot of growth.
Yeah. I wonder if the Cullens ever go through any things like that.
I bet time just moves so quickly for them.
It must. That'd be hard. I hate time passing by. But I guess I don't die, so, I mean.
You do.
I mean, I don't live forever. Sorry, I said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I don't live forever, so maybe that's why.
It would be hard for me to be Bella and to, like, watch your parents die.
Yeah, that would be so hard.
I feel like I would like to see an epilogue of Bella as...
Well, our parents are going to die, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's not special.
I think it's just hard that I think that she will. Well, she told Charlie.
You know what's nice, though, is that she doesn't have any siblings, and she doesn't really... She's only attached to, like, 2 people in her regular life.
Yeah.
So, like, them dying, it's not going to be a big deal. But, like, it'd be different if she had, like, a younger sister.
Yeah, that would be so sad.
Or if, she had a biological... or
It would
a human baby or something.
If Renesmee... I think Renesmee should be mortal. That would be a good conflict.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about the second part of the book, Twilight, which we just finished rereading. You finished it, right?
Yes. Oh, shit.
You're like, I have 5 more pages. Wow.
So this
Did
is
it.
chapters from 14 onward.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious if anyone else has been inspired to reread the books.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm actually looking forward to rereading New Moon and Eclipse.
Me too.
And Breaking Dawn. But I really, really enjoyed reading Twilight. And like we talked about last time, it made me kind of shift how I feel about the whole series. Like now I feel like for the past few years it's been all about the movies, and now I'm kind of back to being like, I like the books. Like, it's about the books. Like, the books are better, I think, maybe.
To be honest, the second part of the book I didn't like as much as the first part, and I actually was preferring the movie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the reasons why, but they're very different. As we said in the last one, they pretty much are different stories, and the characters are very different.
Yeah, they are.
So chapter 14
is called Mind Over Matter. And I think it's called that because Edward says mind over matter, like his way of not being tempted to drink her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that sometimes.
What a practical guy. Yeah. So, what's your first thought about this chapter?
The first note that I have is on page 292. I thought it was kind of creepy that he knows how to get into her house.
Mel, this is Twilight.
Yeah, I know, because I don't like it when people criticize it, but it was, like, in such a human way. It says,
oh, he knows where the key is.
Yeah, he knows where the key is hidden. I want to see him get in through the house, like, through the window.
But somehow I couldn't infuse my voice with the proper outrage. I was flattered. Remember you quoted that way back in the film?
Yeah. He reached the door ahead of me and opened it for me. I pushed halfway through the frame. The door was unlocked? No, I used the key from under the eave.
I was curious about you.
I don't know. If I want him, like, sneaking into the house, I want it to be through the window, down the chimney.
Santa. Oh my god. I know. Wait, did he just look around for it, or did he just notice that she did that? Because, like, I know where my friends... I've noticed where they put their spare key. But, like, did he just find it on his own?
I don't know.
Or did he just see her do it? Oh, she says, I was sure I'd never used the key in front of him.
So...
but then she says, you spied on me. Okay, so he just spied. That's weird, but that's how he knows. He watched her do it.
But no, she said she never used the key.
I know, but, like, he must have... Before they hung out, you know how he would, like, watch her before they ever hung out? I think that's how he knew.
But if she never used it, how did he know where it was?
No, she never used it in front of him. When they were together. Yeah.
Okay.
But he spied on her.
Okay. I still don't like it.
It's weird.
I need him to, like, enter the house in, like, an unusual way for it to not be creepy.
Right. And you need it to be supernatural.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too real.
Yeah, using a key to get in is just, it's like, that's too human. Burglar.
I had something on the next page on 294. Did you have anything before that?
No.
He tells her, this is when she first hears that he's been watching her sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he heard her sleep talking, and that's why he's been doing it. And she's so embarrassed and angry about it, and he says, you did say my name, and she's all upset, like, oh no, and then he says, don't be self-conscious, he whispered in my ear, if I could dream at all, it would be about you, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. That wasn't in the book at all, and...
You mean in the movie?
That wasn't in the movie at all, and I just thought it was interesting, and, like, kind of cute, but also hard to picture Robert Pattinson. I can't pick all the parts in the book where he whispers and stuff. I can't picture it. It's very cute, but yeah.
Do you think Robert Pattinson portrays Edward as sweet as he comes across in the book?
I don't think he's as sweet as he is in the book, but like, I don't know if that's his fault.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not in the script.
Yeah. I mean, when does Edward have, like, a very sweet and tender moment?
I feel like the bedroom scene in Twilight, like his bedroom scene, I think is pretty cute. I think there's more of it in, like, Eclipse. I think in Eclipse he's very sweet. Yeah. But as for Twilight was very moody, and they didn't really leave much of that in the movie.
Yeah.
Of the cute little flirty things.
Maybe when he puts his arm around her when they're walking to school.
Yeah. And then the next page, I thought this was interesting. Her dad comes home. Edward was just there. I don't know why I underlined this. As I set the glass down, I noticed the milk trembling and realized my hand was shaking. was kind of like, why is your hand shaking? But I think she was just really flustered that Edward was just there. And then her dad showed up. But I don't know. That was a nice detail for some reason.
Show, don't tell.
Show, don't tell, exactly.
Good job, Stephanie.
Then I have something on 297. I underlined. So I think she goes to her room, and Edward's been chilling in her room while she's downstairs with her dad. Crazy. Isn't that like everyone? Such a teenage fantasy. Oh my god. This guy's just like in her room. And she goes in. Edward, I whispered, feeling completely idiotic. The quiet laughing response came from behind me. Yes, I whirled, one hand flying to my throat in surprise. He lay, smiling hugely across my bed, his hands behind his head, his feet dangling off the end, the picture of ease. I also just couldn't picture that in the movie. He's like lying there with his arms behind his head, like, relaxing. He's way funnier in the books.
I have notes on page 302 and 303.
Ooh, I had 302 too. I wonder if it's the same thing.
I think I was just like really thirsty when I was reading this because I have so many notes that are like hot.
Yeah, I do too. I have so many parts that I underlined that was just like, cute!
She says to him, "Don't go away then," I responded, unable to hide the longing in my voice. "That suits me," he replied, his face relaxing into a gentle smile. "Bring on the shackles, I'm your prisoner."
Oh my god.
But his long hands formed manacles around my wrists as he spoke. He laughed his quiet, musical laugh. He'd laughed more tonight than I'd ever heard in all time I'd spent with him. And in all the time I'd spent with him. I just thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And also really sexy.
I thought the next part was cute too. She says, "You seem more optimistic than usual," I observed. "I haven't seen you like this before." "Isn't it supposed to be like this?" He smiled. "The glory of first love and all that. It's incredible, isn't it? The difference between reading about something, seeing it in pictures, and experiencing it." So cute.
Oh. I wouldn't
so
know.
Innocent. Edward.
Oh, I thought it was interesting on the next page.
Mm-hmm.
Because something I have been curious about rereading this is when does his, like, thirst to drink her blood turn to loving her and, like, lusting after her?
Yeah.
Because it's like he just wants to kill her. Like, when does he actually develop feelings?
Yeah.
And he explains that on page 302. He says, it's kind of long, so I don't know if I should read it all. So basically he's talking about how he wanted to kill her and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. And all that shit.
And then he said, "As you were sleeping, you said my name. You spoke so clearly at first that I thought you'd woken, but you rolled over restlessly and mumbled my name once more inside. The feeling that coursed through me then was unnerving, staggering, and I knew I couldn't ignore you any longer." And then he goes on to say, but jealousy, it's a strange thing, because he's jealous of all the attention that Bella is getting from the guys at school.
Yeah.
And she says, "So much more powerful than I would have thought, and irrational. Just now, when Charlie asked you about that vile Mike Newton," he shook his head angrily. So he's jealous of Mike.
Yeah.
Goes to show that even someone as beautiful as Edward can be jealous.
Yeah. I think that's definitely possible.
And jealousy was it was a criticism in the feminist critiques that we read of Twilight earlier on.
Ugh. I don't know. I think jealousy is normal.
Yeah, me too.
Unavoidable feeling. I kind of... What you do with your jealousy, I think, makes a difference. I don't think he ever... Maybe besides with Jacob, but with Mike Newton, I don't think he ever did anything.
Yeah.
Like punched Mike or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think everybody gets jealous.
I agree.
I don't really think that's a feminist issue.
I don't think so
But
either.
yeah, definitely though, when jealousy turns into being possessive and stuff, then that's wrong. I think it's like where you take it. He definitely does take it too far with Jacob sometimes, I think. Then I underlined a part on page 310.
Me too.
Because, yeah, oh my god. She's basically asking if they can have sex someday.
I underlined that.
Well, I did wonder, ... about you and me, ... someday. And then he goes, "I don't think that, ... that, ... would be possible for us." Yeah, they're literally talking about having sex. It's just that you are so soft, so fragile. I have to mind my actions every moment that we're together. It's crazy. They're teenagers. If I was too hasty, if for 1 second I wasn't paying enough attention, I could reach out, meaning to touch your face and crush your skull by mistake. Oh my god. And then he goes, have you ever... Of course not, I flushed. I told you I've never felt like this about anyone before, not even close. I know, it's just that I know other people's thoughts. I know love and lust don't always keep the same company. Oh my gosh. Asking if she's ever slept with anyone before.
Of course not.
Of course not.
I wrote, she's already thinking about getting down and dirty.
You wrote that? Oh my gosh, I love it.
Because I thought that was something that later on she
Yeah.
suddenly wanted, but...
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I mean, she's totally in love with him. He's super gorgeous.
Would that be a deal breaker?
What? Oh, with...
Someone just could not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Do you mean could not ever? Or like someone who
So,
says they wait.
In this dynamic,
Mhm.
he's saying he's not going to change her. So
Oh,
for
yeah,
all
yeah.
she knows, she's going to be human, and
Oh yeah,
this
you're
is
right.
gonna-
All she knows is that they never will.
yeah, and she's okay with that.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Well, also I think because she never has, maybe
she
just
doesn't know.
She doesn't know any better.
He could just go down on her though.
I know.
Why that's
or is
not
that
in the...
too much? I don't know. Is that too hard?
You could.
Maybe it's too close for him.
No.
He'll lose it.
Yeah, but
But he has good self-control.
he would be more in control
Yeah.
there. That would be
Mm.
perfect. Maybe they do, and it's just not in the book. I doubt it.
I hope so.
I
We need to ask Stephanie Meyer.
don't think
But then, I think that stuff's weird though. Like J.K. Rowling, like
yeah.
things outside of the book. Like Stephanie Meyer, does Edward go down on Bella?
Why
Yes,
does
he does. Like, like, how do you know that? And like, why isn't it in the book?
do you think it's just not included because it's more taboo to talk about,
Maybe.
and this is a young adult book?
Yeah, the sex scenes never get into detail.
Yeah.
It's always just like, I feel complete. I don't know. We'll get to
Yeah.
them eventually.
It's
but
like that doesn't even exist in this universe.
Yeah, they don't talk about. They don't get into the sex.
Yeah.
It's just implied. I think it's even like she goes to sleep and then wakes up, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't tell us what happens.
And even in the movies, they're not that explicit with the
Yeah.
sex scene.
It's more like making out.
Yeah. That's what I thought sex was when I was a kid, obviously.
I think I did too.
Or teenager.
Are we ready for the next chapter?
Yes.
Chapter 15 is called The Cullens. For some reason, I drew a question mark on page 313. That's going to be permanently in my book. Okay, she's talking... No. She's talking to Edward. She goes, Charlie, I remembered, thoughtlessly jumping up again and heading to the door. And then Edward says, he left an hour ago after reattaching your battery cables, I might add. I have to admit I was disappointed. Is that really all it would take to stop you if you were determined to go? I don't get that part. I don't know what that means.
Sorry, I was not paying attention.
Mel!
Wait, so summarize what you just read.
Okay. She woke up. Edward's in her bed.
Mm-hmm.
Then she remembers her dad and is like, Charlie! And Edward says he left an hour ago after reattaching your battery cables, I might add. I have to admit I was disappointed. Is that really all it would take to stop you if you were determined to go? What does he mean by all it would take? What is stopping her? I'm confused.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Maybe I don't know what battery cables are, but I don't understand what that whole thing means.
Yeah, and I don't get why she jumps up and says Charlie. Is it because, like, she's afraid that Charlie might have seen her sleeping in the room with Edward?
Maybe.
But obviously she has to know that Edward would be smoother than that. He wouldn't just let Charlie walk in.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, why would he say that? Like, that's all it would take? I don't get it.
Yeah, like, what...
Your dad is all it would take?
But what does he mean by if you were determined to go, like, go where?
I don't know. I don't get that part.
Yeah.
I wish I cut that out.
An editor should have paid more attention to that.
I don't know. It's very weird. It's like a problem that's not even a problem. I don't know. Anyway.
I have a note for page 314. There's just a line that I thought was funny. Edward goes, breakfast time. And then Bella says, so I clutched my throat with both hands and stared at him with wide eyes. Shock crossed his face. Kidding, I snickered. And you said I couldn't act.
He frowned in disgust. That wasn't funny.
I thought, like, if Bella did something like that in the movie, it would have been, she might have been more likable.
Yeah, you're so right. Bella's such a jokester.
Yeah, and she doesn't really say anything funny in the movies.
I know. She'll just, like, say something under her breath or whatever. That's not the same kind of humor.
Yeah. She's really not funny.
I like how it says shock across his face. It's funny to picture. He's like, oh, my next note is them kissing again. You're trying to translate this so carefully.
I don't have a note for that.
Okay, it's on page 319.
Oh, I have a note for that. Oh, shit, I do have a note for that.
Oh, freaking out. I underlined it in a sparkly gel pen. Touched his cool lips to mine for the second time. Very carefully parting them slightly. And then I collapsed. Oh my god. Oh yeah, she faints.
She faints. Yeah, that's my note. I think that's so lame. I don't like it at all. So lame.
It wasn't.
He kisses her and then she fucking passes out.
She fucking passed.
That is really... That makes her seem kind of weak to me.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No.
I've never even fainted in my entire life. And I know
Me neither.
some people do,
well,
but
once.
the people, people in my life that faint, it's usually something crazy, like they're dehydrated or...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure some people faint when they're overwhelmed, but I think it's more like crazy things happening, not
I fainted
someone kisses you.
once because I was in a hot tub for too long as a kid.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've never known anyone. Well,
Or
some
like
people
you're at the
faint.
doctor's or something.
Some people faint from like the sight of blood, which
Yeah.
she did earlier in the book.
Like, okay, that's fine. But I've never heard of anyone fainting when
From being people
because they're like so in love that they faint.
I remember Robert Pattinson saying that there would be hardcore. Some fans scream.
Yeah.
Those are like the lesser fans.
Yeah.
And then some fans cry. Those are more extreme. But then there are the hardcore fans who actually faint.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess that is a thing.
But that's just like really lame though. That's so embarrassing.
He said that? The 3 levels of fans?
Yeah, it's like the screamers, the criers, and the fainters.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I wouldn't do any of those.
I'd probably scream.
Really?
If you were in the crowd or something.
Oh, if I was in the crowd, yeah.
Like at the premiere.
If I just saw him.
Oh no, I wouldn't scream when I saw him. Oh, I pictured it like at the premiere.
Okay, yeah, probably at the premiere.
I'd be like, oh my god.
Okay.
I don't think I would be continuously screaming.
Yeah.
Do you think tears would well in your eyes if you saw Rob?
Maybe, actually. I think I could get myself to...
Yeah. I don't think I would just on the street, but I think if I was at an emotional thing like a premiere,
Yeah.
that'd be overwhelming.
What if I did faint?
What if you are a fainter and we don't know? Oh my god. We just
Hard telling, not knowing. I bet they don't know ahead of time that they're gonna faint.
What if we went to Comic-Con or something and fainted?
But see, I would be so embarrassed about that.
I know. I guess that makes us not the highest tier fans because we're embarrassed about it.
Yeah. I bet they should be embarrassed about it at least.
Guys, have you ever fainted over Twilight?
Let
or
us
something
know.
Yeah.
Yes, send us your fainting stories.
Yeah.
100%. I want to hear them. I didn't like that she did that, though.
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
I have a note for 329, if you don't have anything for sooner.
Nope, I don't.
Very small thing. Tears form in her eyes from listening to the CD that they have, like some classical music.
Mm-hmm.
And he reaches over and takes her teardrop.
Aww.
I thought that was kind of cute.
That is cute. It's kind of funny, though. Then, so quickly, I couldn't be positive that he really did. He put his finger to his mouth to taste it. He did it really quickly.
Does he like the taste of water?
Maybe. So this is when she's at the Cullens' house, and she meets them all. She had already met Carlisle, but... Okay, so I wanted to say, just generally, I don't have, like, a specific note for this, that the Cullens are in this book way more than the movie, and they talk to Bella, I think, a lot more, and there's a whole part where... You know in the movie, the scene where they're in Edward's room, and then she's like, I'm not scared of you. You really shouldn't have said that. They jump out the window.
Mhm.
That doesn't happen in the book. Jasper and Alice come in the room and are like, oh, what are you guys doing in here? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. It's much more friend group-ish.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is that Rosalie is not in that scene at all.
Oh, yeah. She's
And
not there.
I think Emmett's not either because she's not.
Yeah, I think they're not there.
She, like, refuses to be there because she's
Mhm.
against the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then Emmett's, like, whipped. So
Yeah.
he's not there either.
Yeah, that is interesting.
We get a lot less of Rosalie.
Are we ready for chapter 16?
Yeah.
It's called Carlisle. They go in Carlisle's office.
I thought this was kind of weird, actually, because... So they go into Carlisle's office, and Edward is, like, asking Carlisle...
To tell stories about
Yeah.
his youth and stuff.
It's weird because he asks Carlisle to tell Bella stories about, his life, like, in his backstories. Except Carlisle's like, oh, I gotta run. I have a patient at the hospital. So then Edward just tells all the stories.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't get why Stephanie Meyer couldn't have Carlisle telling us that.
I don't know. I guess she wanted them to be in the office to look at the paintings and everything, but she wanted it to be in Edward's scene, so I don't know. That is
I wrote, why
interesting.
does this scene with Carlisle have to occur if he doesn't end up telling the stories? Because it's like they have this whole interaction. Hey, Carlisle. Hey.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I gotta run. Someone at the hospital.
Gotta go. I don't know. It was kind of cool, though. That wasn't in the movie. They kind of have it in New Moon.
Yeah. We actually learn of the Volturi a little bit here. They don't call it the Volturi, but he mentions, like, Caius and Marcus and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I underlined... I have something on page 346. This is the part what I was talking about when you really shouldn't have said that. Except he leaps at her. They don't go out the window. They crash into the sofa. And I underlined this part. I struggled to free myself, but Edward merrily readjusted me so I was somewhat more conventionally seated on his lap. I could see it was Alice then and Jasper behind her in the doorway. My cheeks burned, but Edward seemed at ease. So Alice and Jasper come in and she's sitting on his lap. I thought that was, like, cute.
Yeah.
Also so flirty, and, like, that's not... Stuff like that's not in the movie.
Yeah. So the next chapter is called The Game. Because they play the game of baseball. It's the American pastime. I thought it was interesting that Bella brings up Jacob, and Edward says...
Wait. She doesn't bring him up. He's there. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah, he's there outside. Oh, sorry. I thought it was interesting that before they go to play baseball, Jacob and Billy Black are at the house, and Bella says... Let me deal with this, I suggested. Edward's black glare made me anxious. To my surprise, he agreed. That's probably best. Be careful, though. The child has no idea. I brittled a little at the word child. Jacob is not that much younger than I am, I reminded him. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting how he
goes, oh, I know. Yeah, so then the Black family's there. That's their last name! What are we supposed to call them? Okay, Billy and Jacob are there. Oh, this is interesting. Well, wait. Before she goes in the house, Edward kisses her under the edge of her jaw. Another kiss, kind of. There's a lot of kisses in this book, actually. Way more than I remembered. She goes in, and Billy makes up this weird task for Jacob to do. Like, can you go in the car and find a picture of Rebecca, who's Jacob's sister?
Yeah.
And Jacob's like, okay, and he goes to look for it. And, oh yeah, Charlie's not home yet. This whole thing isn't in the movie. And Bella's like, Charlie won't be home for a while. And then Billy tries to, like, give her a warning. He says, you probably don't know this, but the Cullen family has an unpleasant reputation on the reservation. So he's trying to tell her to break up with her boyfriend. And then Jacob comes back and is like, there's no picture anywhere in the car. And then Billy's like, I guess I left it at home. I don't know, random scene.
I feel like they don't need that in the movie because we get that already when Jacob goes to prom, which is in the book as well, where he says, my dad wants you to break up with your boyfriend.
In the book, it definitely hypes up the tension. I mean, in a book, you don't have, like, music playing in the background or anything, so I think you sometimes do need things like this to get a sense of what people feel and whatever, but yeah, I don't think it was necessary in the movie. But still interesting.
My next note is when they're on their way to the baseball, there's this weird little fight between Bella and Edward that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's, again, I feel like an editor should have cut this out because I don't understand what they're arguing about.
Why? What did they say?
So she's on his back, and then it's over. And he says, "It's over, Bella." I dared to open my eyes, and sure enough, we were at a standstill. I stiffly unlocked my strange hold on his body and slipped to the ground, landing on my backside. Oh, I huffed as I hit the wet ground. He stared at me incredulously, evidently not sure whether he was still too mad to find me funny. I don't know what he was mad about. And then she says, but my bewildered expression pulled him over the edge, and he broke into a roar of laughter. And then she storms off, and he says, where are you going, Bella? To watch baseball. You don't seem to be too interested in playing anymore, but I'm sure that others will have fun without you. You're going the wrong way. And then, yeah, they're fighting, I guess, because she, like, fell and he laughed. Just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I think it's because, didn't he just run with her on his back? And she doesn't like that because it's way too fast, right?
I think maybe because she feels dizzy.
Mad. I think she already said she hates it or something. Last time when they ran with her on his back,
she felt nauseous.
Yeah.
So why does he do it then?
I don't know. I guess to save time. I don't know.
And then he says, "Don't be mad. I couldn't help myself. You should have seen your face." I think it's when she falls, though.
Oh,
he
so
says,
he's laughing.
She says, "Oh, you're the only one who's allowed to get mad?" I asked, raising my eyebrows. "I wasn't mad at you. Bella, you're the death of me," I quoted sourly. "That was simply a statement of fact." "You were mad," I insisted. "Yes. But you just said that I wasn't mad at you. Can't you see that, Bella?" It just seems like there's
Wait, what page is this?
364.
Oh, I think it's because I was on page 363, and she's saying she doesn't want to do it. And he's like, would I let a tree hurt you? And then they kiss again, which I underlined, because I was like, oh my gosh. And, okay, so they're kissing, and she knows she shouldn't do this, but instead of keeping safe motionless, my arms reached up to twine tightly around his neck, and I suddenly welded to his stone figure. I sighed, and my lips parted. He staggered back, breaking my grip effortlessly. "Damn it, Bella," he broke off. "You'll be the death of me, I swear you will." So, yeah.
Oh, so she got a little too frisky.
She got a little too frisky, but then he threw me across his back as he had before, and I could see the extra effort it took for him to be as gentle as he was. I locked my legs around his waist, and he secured his arms in a chokehold around his neck, and then they were moving. Then it's like, it's over, Bella. That's where it starts. And so, I don't know why she says you don't seem... I guess he's angry because he almost lost control or something. But yeah, I don't get why they're acting this way.
It's like they're acting really insecure. And regardless, I just said it kind of slowed the whole scene down. Like, I want to see them at the baseball scene already. And I don't get why there's this like whole little fight
I don't know.
on the way there.
And then on page 366, he says, "I love you."
Aww.
Which was cute. "I love you," he said, "but it's a poor excuse for what I'm doing, but still true." And I think that's the first time he says it.
Yeah, she said it earlier.
Oh, yeah. And it's not in the movie. They don't say "I love you" in the movie.
Do they ever say it? I think at the wedding. Do they say it to Moon?
At her truck, when she's like, "It's still my birthday."
Oh, yeah.
And she goes, they say "I love you." But in Twilight, they don't say it. He does say, like, you're my life now and
Yeah.
stuff, but they don't say I love you. And I kind of wish they did, because I think it makes it make a little more sense. It's like, this is where the relationship's at, you know.
The movie is interesting because, again, it's like, or even the book, it's like, we can't be friends. I'm not saying I don't want to be friends. And then they all of a sudden are like, so the lion fell in love with the lamb. And I'm like, what? I thought you guys were just friends.
It's like both of them have this huge crush, and they were like pretending they didn't or something.
Yeah.
And then, but once they let it out, it's like, okay, we're in love.
Yeah. I guess he kind of says it when it's so the lion fell in love with the lamb.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, my next note is for page 368. I thought this was so weird. This is when Bella's talking to Esme at the baseball scene, and Bella's umpiring. Actually, Esme is umpiring as well because she doesn't like to play for some reason.
Wait, I thought Esme was catcher.
Esme says, "No, I prefer to referee. I like keeping them honest. Do they like to cheat then? Oh, yes, you should hear the arguments they get into. Actually, I hope you don't. You would think they were raised by a pack of wolves. You sound like a mom," I laughed, surprised. She laughed too. Well, I do think of them as my children in most ways. I never could get over my mothering instincts. Did I ever tell you I lost a child? It's just so TMI.
I know.
And then she goes into how she lost a child. I just thought, like, she's laughing. It's like, it's, you know, kind of small talk. And then she's like, did I ever tell you I lost a child? Just thought it was really...
Wait, they're both referees? That's too many.
Yeah.
Who's catcher in the movie? Oh, in the movie, is she catcher?
Yeah, in the movie, she's catcher.
Oh,
And then,
totally confused.
no, I murmured, stunned, scrambling to understand what lifetime she was remembering. Yes, my first baby and my only baby. He died just a few weeks after he was born, the poor tiny thing. It broke my heart. That's why I jumped off a cliff, you know. It's just way too much information. They don't know each other.
Yeah, is Esme that kind of person?
I don't know.
She was never really presented to us as a TMI kind of person, but...
Yeah. It's just like, if I was Bella in that situation, I was meeting my boyfriend's parents, and the mom was saying, that's something my mom would do, honestly.
That's why I jumped off a cliff. Oh my god.
I would be so embarrassed.
Do you have anything else for this chapter? It ends with the nomads showing up.
Yeah, I do actually. First of all, they say Alice has a vision that they're coming, and they're like, how long is it going to be? And they're like, 5 minutes. And they're like, we'll never make it out of there. I feel like they definitely had enough time to leave.
I know. I guess they said that they would smell them and follow them or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they should have tried. I also have, on page 373, when Edward tells Bella to put her hair down, Alice is actually the one that says, that won't help. I could smell her across the field. But she said it softly.
But then in the movie,
Rosalie says it. Yeah. And
meanly.
Yeah. Like, that'll help. I can smell her across the field.
Yeah. Interesting. So then the next chapter is The Hunt, chapter 18. James, Laurent, and Victoria approach, and they're described as very messy.
They're frayed, barefooted. How they are kind of portrayed in Twilight, the movie. All of that is lost later on in the series.
Yeah.
My note is at first, when they're leaving, and Bella's like, something that bothered me is that at first she really wants to go...
Oh, save Charlie?
She's not as concerned about saving Charlie as she is about Charlie calling the FBI and getting the Cullens in trouble. I didn't like, she was more concerned about the Cullens than she was Charlie.
Yeah, she was.
She's like, and that's when she's like, the FBI will be on to you. And he says, that won't be the first time.
I know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When else did the FBI get called on you? Why doesn't he tell us
We need more information
we need
on
to know
that.
about that. I would love to hear about that.
But I think because Bella doesn't seem that connected to the human world enough for me, later on she's nervous about Charlie's safety, but I would have liked that to be her first thought.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird how Edward doesn't really care about saving Charlie. He's like, we can't go back. It's a waste of time. It's like weird that
I
they're
don't think
having.
he says waste of time. I think he just says that
There's not enough time.
Yeah. Then Bella comes up with this plan to go to the house and trick Charlie into thinking she's leaving.
Something I thought that was interesting about that is first she says, I demand that you take me home. I tried to sound firm. And then Edward pressed his fingers to his temples and squeezed his eyes shut. And then she says, please, I said in a smaller voice. And that actually helps her get her way. So it's like she had to be smaller.
I thought it was interesting. So this whole scene in the movie is just her and Edward. But in here, Emmett and Alice are there, and they're being really, like, supportive and part of it and stuff. She says her plan, and Emmett's like, I kind of like it. And Edward's like, shut up, Emmett. And I think Emmett's the one that says, look, if we try to take him down while she's still around, there's a much better chance that someone will get hurt. She'll get hurt, or you will, trying to protect her. Now, if we get him alone, he trailed off. Like, they're part of this whole thing, too. It's not just Edward. The next chapter is
called Goodbyes.
Chapter 19.
I wrote that on page 396, just in reading this scene with Charlie and how gut-wrenching it is. I thought, for myself, this might be too much for me if I was in Bella's shoes.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't do this.
Like, I might say, I don't know if I could be in this relationship if it means hurting the people that I love.
Yeah, well, now it's, like, too late.
Yeah.
She really had no choice.
Yeah. But that would be a changing moment for me.
Yeah, totally. And I had a note on, again, 391 is this before, but she just talks about she, like, tears up about Emmett and stuff, and she's worried about him dying, and I don't know, I just felt like in the books she was much closer, even though she didn't meet them that much. We saw the other Cullens more, and she liked them and cared about them, which in the movie they're more in the background. But yeah, the whole thing about Charlie, I don't know, I couldn't do that either. I couldn't do that, like, lying to him and
to your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, your dad is so sweet.
And saying, like, I gotta get out of here. Like, that would be sad.
God. Especially since you've known, maybe it's different because Bella doesn't, she has a distance with Charlie. Like, she loves him, but.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, she's not too attached to him. He didn't really raise her.
Yeah.
But that to me would be like, I don't know if it's romantic love is worth sacrificing their relationships with the people who I've loved my whole life.
I think that she didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that there maybe should have been a scene later where it just would have been nice if there was a part where she kind of just considered this.
Yeah.
And she could have still been like, well, it's worth it because I feel like the Cullens are my new family, or Edward's my soulmate.
Yeah.
Like, she could have still gone through with it, but I think to at least consider, you don't have a moment to be like, oh gosh.
Yeah, what did I get myself into?
She never really does.
She doesn't. She's like, you can't leave me. Like, she's
never
so,
like,
yeah.
Oh, this is a lot.
Yeah, I think I would like that.
Yeah, I think that would just be a little more human.
Yeah.
To have a slight doubt for a second. Not that she doubts Edward's personality or anything. It's just like,
and I think
this is crazy.
I think that would, because like we say, Bella sort of gets it all in the end. And having that and having to consider, I mean, she kind of does think about how she's not going to be able to have a relationship with her parents again.
Yeah.
But she doesn't dwell on it that much. And I would like to see her really sacrifice something and kind of suffer in it a little bit.
Totally. Too perfect.
Yeah, too perfect. We need some bittersweetness.
Yeah, we do.
My only other note for that chapter is when Carlisle, says to Rosalie, like, can you put Bella's jacket on? Like, confuse the tracker. Rosalie is so mean.
Yeah.
She says, why should I? She hissed. What is she to me? Except a menace, a danger you've chosen, a danger you've chosen to inflict on all of us. So fucking mean.
Very mean. The only other note I had, I have two for this chapter, It's at the end. Page 403. They kiss again. I'm just keeping track. His lips were icy and hard against mine. Then it was over. Very short one. And then the last page of the chapter, I thought this was so sweet. I'm having weird love for the other Coens in the second part of this book. Jasper says, "You're wrong, you know," he said quietly. "What?" I gasped. "I can feel what you're feeling right now, and you are worth it." "I'm not," I mumbled. "If anything happens to them, it will be for nothing." You're wrong," he repeated, smiling kindly at me. I thought that was so sweet. And I kind of wish something like that was in the movies, because I feel like Jasper's so random in the movies.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you?
Something that I thought about, I didn't know he could feel other people's feelings.
Yeah.
I thought he could just control them.
I guess he can sense other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And control them.
It's kind of like he can read minds.
Yeah.
Too.
I know. I think he's very underrated.
Yeah. He's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my next note for the next chapter, chapter 20, Impatience, is I love Jasper. That's what I wrote. He says, Bella, Bella, stop. You're worrying about all the wrong things, Bella. Trust me on this. None of us are in jeopardy. You are under too much strain as it is. Don't add to it with wholly unnecessary worries. Listen to me.
Aww.
Our family is strong. Our only fear is losing you.
Jasper,
so sweet.
Oh. Okay, I'm also more Jasper on page 424. Uncharacteristically, Jasper slid closer to me. He lightly touched his hand to my shoulder, and the physical contact seemed to make his calming influence stronger. I don't know, thought that was cute too. Like, slid close to her. I don't know. And then I also had a note. So this is the whole part when they're hiding out in a hotel room, right?
Yeah.
And she's separated from Edward, and they talk on the phone. And she says, "I miss you," I whispered. "I know, Bella. Believe me, I know. It's like you've taken half myself away with you." I don't know. I thought that was cute that you said, "I miss you."
Yeah.
It seemed very normal.
I will say I didn't really like this scene in the hotel room.
It goes on a bit too long.
It drags on.
Yeah.
She takes a nap.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's very bleak. They're just in the room. The TV's on. I hate how it's described. The blinds are shut. It just sounds so miserable. They're there all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Jasper and Alice keep reassuring her that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which is sweet, but it makes it feel like the stakes aren't that high. And I'm thinking, oh, they're in this hotel room.
Yeah.
They're safe. Everything, all the action is going on somewhere else. Like, it just doesn't feel that exciting.
Mm-hmm. Which in the film, we could see cut-in shots of them running around in the woods, trying to trick James. We got that in the movie, but in this, we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the downsides of having Bella as a narrator, but oh well.
We do have, she asks Alice how she becomes a vampire. I actually didn't like this because I feel like because then Alice explains, oh, if you bite, but then you don't keep sucking, that's how it happens. It felt too set up because reading this, not for the first time, we know that soon after that, James is going to bite her and then stop.
I actually didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it just felt like...
I didn't think it was too much, though.
You don't think so?
I think without it, you might be confused, actually, when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, what does this mean?
That's true.
And she's so out of it during that scene that when she gets bit that it's kind of unclear what's even going on.
But then it kind of also sets it up. But I get it. Maybe reading it for the first time, it helps you to provide clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Alice goes on about how she doesn't remember what happened to her when she became a vampire, and then James kind of fills in those blanks in the next scene, which I completely forgot about. That is James the one that turned her?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Or
someone James knew. Yeah.
we can read it. The next chapter is Phone Call, chapter 21. This is actually when Jasper slides closer to her.
Oh wait, I had one more note for the last chapter.
Sorry.
I don't get how James gets on the plane so quickly, and does he have an ID?
He must have an ID.
To get on the plane.
I don't know.
And, I don't...
Some vampires in other fiction are able to, manipulate people or kind of mind control them, and sometimes it's not in the Twilight universe, but it almost seems like it should be because they get away with so much stuff, and I'm like, how did you do that? Yeah, I don't know.
I just feel like
a private jet?
TSA is, too strict for you to just, walk right in. Also, when she's sketching the ballet studio or whatever, or she's describing it, Bella's like, oh, it's a ballet studio. And then she says, I haven't been there in almost 10 years. I was a terrible dancer. They always put me in the back for recitals. It just sounded like, I don't know, the delivery of that didn't seem natural. It's like, we get it, Bella. You're uncoordinated.
We get it. Maybe she felt like she needed to explain herself because she's not the type to do ballet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next chapter is called Phone Call. And this is when just James calls and makes her think her mom is kidnapped.
Reading this, I thought,
It's
this
a very short chapter.
must be so scary to read for the first time.
Yeah.
I think that's actually like a really great shock value.
But it's we discussed this over text the other day.
Yeah.
Why does Bella decide to go by herself? I don't get why she
so
couldn't
gullible.
Why couldn't she tell Alice and Jasper, hey, he said he has my mom? Why not?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Figure it out together. They could call Edward, like, because James can't read minds. Like, they don't know what's going on. So,
yeah.
Like,
and she could have written it on a note.
Yeah.
Because maybe she thinks he's too close, he can hear me. But she could have just literally, and because the thing is, her stupid plan to show up there and sacrifice herself. Okay, but do you really think that if he does have the mom, he's then gonna spare her because she did that?
I know.
No.
Bella.
The mom probably smells a little bit like her.
She's being too selfless. She's like, I can't let the Collins risk anything.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Okay.
I hate how she is blaming herself so much for the situation that she's in. She's thinking, I put all the Collins in this. Yeah. And it's like, you can't understand. Like, no, I mean, if Edward was a human, you wouldn't be in this situation. Like, you can't blame yourself.
I really don't understand why she couldn't tell them.
Yeah, and it's a very, like, passive type of courage. Like, I like it when, like, there's a story and, like, the woman really tries to fight back as best she could and, like, it has that will to survive. And Bella's, like, she's kind of like, I give up.
She's like a total martyr. I mean, it's very heroic that she's willing to give her life, but it's also just a little silly.
Yeah.
I think she's almost like too scared to think this through. Like, if all the Collins showed up, someone could probably surprise him, or you know what I mean? I mean, if they surrounded him, I'm sure they could beat him.
It's totally outnumbering him. And she kind of puts them more in an, like, worse situation because, one, she's afraid that the FBI is going to be onto them if she dies, so she's like, oh, I'm just going to die, and, like, what if you're going to think then?
She's still going to die.
Yeah, like, also, there's way more of the Collins than there is James. So,
I don't know. I guess she thinks that the second James sees them in the doorway, he's going to, like, bite the mom. I don't know.
Yeah.
We also got a handwritten letter from Bella.
She writes a letter to Edward.
Handwriting. It's just a font, but...
Yeah.
Chapter 22 is Hide and Seek.
So this is more of her...
So, this is different than the movie. She has the whole plan. They go to the... It's actually more sad. They go to the airport to pick up Edward. Like, they just arrived to Arizona. Edward's plane just got there, and she makes up this, like, lie that she has to go to the bathroom.
And Jasper follows her.
Yeah, it also says, Jasper walked silently beside me, his hand on the small of my back. So cute. I ship it. No, but...
Me too.
There's something going on with Jasper. I don't know what it is. She knows because she's been to this Phoenix airport before that the bathroom has two entrances. So she runs out the back way, runs to the shuttle, gets, like, that's how she gets out without them knowing. And it's kind of sad because Edward just touched down. He must be so upset, but we don't get to see what happens. So
yeah, she writes in the letter, I can't bear it if anyone has to be hurt because of me, especially you. Please, this is the only thing I can ask you now for me. She's asking him to forgive her. I love you, forgive me, Bella.
So she goes to the ballet studio. Surprise, surprise, her mom is not there. She was tricked. James attacks, bites her, and then she kind of drifts away. Do you have anything more for this chapter?
That's kind of what I said before.
Mhm.
James talking about how he was, like,
Oh, yes.
connected to Alice.
Mhm.
He says, "You see, the vampire who was so stupidly fond of this little victim made the choice that your Edward was too weak to make." Oh, sorry, this whole thing is so long.
I know, that's like the middle.
Sorry.
It happened once, ages ago, the one and only time my prey escaped me. You see, the vampire who was so stupidly fond of this little victim, so Alice was a little victim, made the choice that your Edward was too weak to make. When the old one knew I was after his little friend, he stole her from the asylum where he worked. Never will understand the obsession some vampires seem to form with you humans. And as soon as he freed her, he made her safe. She didn't even seem to notice the pain, poor little creature. She had been stuck in that black hole of a cell for so long.
So Alice, as a human, had an Edward, like a vampire
Yeah.
who was in love with her.
Was he
that
in
just-
love, or was it just a friend? They don't make it clear. In the 1920s, it was the asylum and the shock treatments. When she opened her eyes, strong with her fresh youth, it was like she'd never seen the sun before. The old vampire made her a new strong vampire, and there was no reason for me to touch her then. He sighed. I destroyed the old one in vengeance. So maybe it was like a love interest.
Yeah.
But James killed them, so we don't know.
Alice, I breathed, astonished. Yes, your little friend. I was surprised to see her in the clearing, so I guess her coven ought to be able to derive some comfort from this experience. I get you, but they get her, the one victim who escaped me. Quite an honor, actually.
Apparently she smelled even better than Bella. Interesting.
And then Bella kind of brings this up to her when she's in the hospital or something,
Yeah.
but not really.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't explain it well.
Be a lot to take in.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this.
Yeah. I knew about it because of the official guide. they
Yeah.
have, but I didn't realize it was in Twilight.
What a small world.
Small. How many vampires are there in North America? I wonder. So, chapter 23 is The Angel.
Oh, about this chapter is Bella's waking up in the hospital and she hears a voice. It's Edward's, but she thinks it's an angel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what Bella's spiritual beliefs are.
She never really gets into it, does she?
No, but she's really not afraid to die. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if she thinks that there's something on the other side.
I think she must. Yeah, because she doesn't seem that scared. We know that I think Edward and Carlisle are pretty spiritual, but we don't really know about anyone else.
Yeah, she says, like, your soul would never be damned.
Yeah.
So she can, like, fancy the conversation of a soul.
Mm-hmm.
But and especially since she's our narrator and we're so close to her,
Yeah.
I would like to know what her deep feelings about, like, death and stuff are.
I know. That would make her more real. Because sometimes I do think Bella is too approachable to be whoever you want it to be.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
she's a Mary Sue character.
Sort of. I mean, I argued in the other episode that she wasn't as bad as people say, but yeah, like, what does she think? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe Stephanie was afraid, if she is spiritual or isn't afraid that people wouldn't like it or something. I don't know, but I thought it was cute. Page 453. Well, not cute / sad. It's when she's kind of dying or being about to be turned because James bit her. And Edward's like, Bella, please, Bella, listen to me. Please, please, Bella, please, he begged. Bella, please, oh no, please. Like, that's, and then it says, and the angel was sobbing, tearless, broken sobs. So Edward's like crying, even though he can't really cry. Which that wasn't in the movie either. He was more, I mean, he was upset in the movie, but he was more angry and, you know.
Oh, wait, sorry, this is not in the hospital. This is...
It is eventually.
Yeah.
It, like, fades into the hospital.
Yeah.
But at first, they're still in the ballet studio, and she's kind of, it says, as I drifted, I dreamed, where I floated under the dark water. So she's kind of not really conscious of what's going on.
Something I thought that was weird is that after he sucks out the venom, there's a lot of, like, this dialogue that is not in the movie.
Oh, between him and Carlisle?
And Bella is there.
Yeah.
Bella Carlisle called to me. I tried to answer. Mm-hmm. Is the fire gone? Yes, I sighed. Thank you, Edward. I love you, he answered. I know, I was so tired. Bella, Carla asked again. I frowned. I wanted to sleep. What? Where's your mother? In Florida. He tricked me, Edward. He watched our videos. Like, I didn't know that she could, like, actually form a
Yeah,
conversation
you're right.
here.
Also, I wrote down, I know this sounds so basic and obvious, but I wrote in my notebook, wow, that's a hard decision for Edward to make.
I literally wrote the same thing. I was like, wow,
Either save her, but lose her soul, and let her turn into a vampire, or try to save her, but possibly fail.
Yes.
So, like, because he thought he was going to fail, so, like, either kill her or let her become a vampire.
And he had to decide in the moment.
Like, either she might die, or should I let her turn? That is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a risk, and, like, I don't know.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
That's such a risk that he chose to try to save her.
Yeah.
It's like, what if she just died? Like, what if he sucked all the blood out by accident?
Yeah. He would never forgive himself.
And it's pretty crazy that he tasted, like, this whole entire book he's been talking about, like, oh, you smell delicious.
Yeah.
It would be like drinking your blood. That's the movie, but it's crazy that he actually does here. And I thought it was really cute. At the very end, he says, "You can sleep, sweetheart. I'll carry you."
Aww.
It's just cute.
She needs a blood transfusion fast.
Yeah.
Edward, stop. Edward, your blood is clean. Edward, you're killing her. I like that in the movie because if you didn't read the book, you'd be like, is she dying?
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
So then that's kind of the end of the intense drama. Chapter 24 is called An Impasse.
This one had a nice misleading opening. She says, my eyes open to a bright white light.
She's dead? No, she's in the hospital.
I was wondering if people who have near-death experiences where they talk about that bright light.
Yeah.
Is that because they're in a hospital where there's a bright light hanging over them? I hope not.
Her mom's there for the first time. And I don't know,
The mom seems a lot more suspicious of Edward.
She totally is. Doesn't seem like a fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She, like, in the movie, she's like, he never leaves. It's kind of like, oh, this is sweet, he cares about you.
Yeah.
In the book, it's like, he never leaves.
I know. She's very wary of him.
Yeah. And she's like, I think he really, really likes you. Like.
And then we have this part I underlined, which I thought was interesting. I wonder if you had to. On page 473 into 474, she's kind of making her case for Edward to let her be a vampire. And she says, but it just seems logical. A man and woman have to be somewhat equal, as in one of them can't always be swooping in and saving the other one. They have to save each other equally. He says, you have saved me, he said quietly. I can't always be Lois Lane, I insisted. I want to be Superman. 2.
Yeah, I have the same part underlined.
Certainly that's a critique people have.
I wrote at the end of the book that I think that the book is better with lighthearted scenes. Yeah. But the movie is better with gut-wrenching. It's better with... Again. I said that I think that the book is better with lighthearted scenes, but that the movie is better with gut-wrenching scenes.
Yeah. I agree that the more intense drama scenes are better in the movie. For instance, like the part when they I Know You Are, that whole thing is just in the car in the book. Like it's much more steady, the whole book. There aren't really high dramatic peaks. It's all kind of, even the scary parts, there's a lot of talking and
I wonder if there's like too much dialogue.
I don't know. I mean, I enjoy this, but it's just like when you compare it, it's a little less effective. I liked this line, page 478. I don't know. Edward says, that's the beautiful thing about being human, he told me. Things change. I kind of liked that. As someone who, I don't know, I don't like change that much. But I guess it's nice, because also the idea of people never changing, it's a little sad. So
do they change mentally?
don't know. I think they do because Jasper seems like he's changed. Like
Yeah.
when he first started his vampire life, he was kind of a Riley from Eclipse.
Yeah.
He was like that.
I mean, and also Edward he had a rebellious stage
Oh, yeah.
when he would kill.
I think they do
People.
change mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I thought this was interesting. They're in the hospital. She says, "Stay." "I will," he promised. His voice was beautiful, like a lullaby. Like I said, as long as it makes you happy, as long as it's what's best for you. I tried to shake my head, but it was too heavy. "It's not the same thing," I mumbled. "Don't worry about that now, Bella. You can argue with me when you wake up." So it's kind of foreshadowing New Moon, and I think it's, even though it's sad, like, I think that's the best thing about Edward. He's like, as long as it's what's best for you. He doesn't think it is. And as we said earlier, Bella should be thinking these things.
Yeah.
She's not, but Edward is.
Yeah.
Like, Edward is the one that's like, I don't think I'm good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Silly Bella. What a gal.
She is just a teenager.
That's true. You're so right, Mel. Yeah.
Whereas I when I was reading this when I was 13 or 12, I was like, I was kind of mad at Edward for leaving, actually.
Yeah.
And now as a 22-year-old,
How old are you?
I think about things a lot more. I'm always constantly, even with friendships, thinking like, is this
me too.
good for me? Like,
yeah. When I was a teenager, everything was just like all in. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I still love Edward Cullen so much, but when I first read it, I was like, oh my god, like, no questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now what if Bella, like, a couple years into her vampire life is like, fuck.
No, she won't.
Yeah.
Then it's like, the problem is, there's no problem anymore when she's a vampire. But
I thought, when I still hadn't read Breaking Dawn yet,
Mhm.
remember
Oh,
I asked you, does Edward ever eat human food?
I said yes.
And you said yes.
And then you were like,
I thought you spoiled something.
you were like, how could you spoil it? He becomes a human. You were so upset.
Because he eats the cake at the wedding. And
Yeah.
I thought that, like, maybe they had sex or something and that turned him into a human.
Crazy magic. He turned into a human. I know. When you said that, I was like, okay, no, that doesn't happen. But I was wondering how that could be possible.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some kind of witch out there or
Yeah.
something.
Do you
who
think
knows a spell? I don't know.
Do you think if it was possible, how many of the other Cullens would turn back into humans?
I think they all would.
Do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the people that wouldn't are just like the Volturi,
Mm-hmm.
the bad guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But why do they then keep turning people and adding to their
I know.
coven if they don't?
It's very nuanced.
It seems like
we're happy to have them, but it's
Yeah.
kind of sad.
It seems like Rosalie's the one that's like super against
Yeah.
it.
I don't know.
Would you become a vampire if you were given the chance? I'm so afraid of dying that
No, I think I would. As long as I had someone else to hang out with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to know what the terms are.
I think I would want to honestly become a vampire at 40 because then you could look, I don't know, I think you could make yourself look older enough to be
Yeah.
elderly, and maybe it's like Botox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you could also, if you take care of yourself, could
Mhm.
pass as younger as well.
It'd be cool if vampires lived like just really long, but not necessarily forever.
Yeah.
That's a
Like
little
in Harry
scary.
Potter.
Yeah, maybe 500 years or something.
Yeah.
Even that sounds a little scary, but
I mean, I imagine there's a certain point when you kind of want to die.
yeah.
Like Tuck Everlasting, she's
Mhm.
like, that's great. Like, I don't want to die. And then
Yeah.
they explain it to her. They're like, yeah, but you see, once you've lived 100 years, everyone you know has died.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really want to still be around. Like,
Yeah.
there's not much else to do.
I love Tuck Everlasting.
That was sort of my pre-game into Twilight.
Yeah. I should reread Tuck Everlasting.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Maybe we could do an episode on that if we run out of
Compare.
ideas.
Guys, we are not even close to running out of ideas.
We
Don't
have
worry.
we have years and years
we
worth.
took 2 parts to read this book. So. Yeah.
But also send us your ideas if you have something you would love for us to talk
maybe
about.
we just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
So the next part is the epilogue, and this is when they go to prom. I thought this was so funny. Alice dresses her up, and Bella says, "Look at this shoe. It's a death trap. I held out my good leg as evidence. He stared at my leg longer than was necessary. Remind me to thank Alice for that tonight." So, typical horn dog, like, Edward. Thought you were a gentleman.
I loved that part.
I know.
I thought it was kind of dumb that Bella didn't know that they were going to prom. She was like, where are you taking me?
I know. She thought they were going to some kind of ritual to turn you into a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, Bella.
Did she not? Has she been in school?
I don't know. I guess she has. I'm gonna assume she has.
Oh, something that I wrote down is that if I was Renee and Charlie, I would be skeptical of the injury that Bella had. I would think that, especially since it came after, like, a fight with Edward, I would just be weary that, like, I would honestly maybe think that he, like, abused her or something. Like, threw her downstairs, and that's why she fell through a window.
I know. I think that the thing maybe is that Charlie trusts Carlisle a lot. Like, he really likes him. So I think maybe he believes it because of that. I know. It is weird.
I was getting kind of sick of how clumsy Bella is.
It's crazy.
It's, like, annoying.
It's too much.
And I was listening to this podcast. It's called, like, It's Really That Bad, where they talk about movies and discuss if they're really as bad as people say.
Yeah.
And they thought that Twilight was.
That's so not true.
Yeah, not true.
We
don't. Well, I also was thinking it's these 2 guys talking about it. Yeah. Like, you don't know anything.
You need the right kind of guy to watch Twilight. But what did they say?
They were saying that the clumsiness makes her more of a Mary Sue character. It's like, oh, it's meant to be cute and quirky and stereotypically feminine.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't like how she has to. She's already a human, which makes her more feeble.
Yeah.
And
I think it's fine if she's clumsy, but it's just too much.
No one is really that clumsy. It's like a staple of her character.
Nobody was really that clumsy, but I feel like if he's gonna hear this, Tony, my boyfriend, is really clumsy. I've realized lately. He's Bella's mom. He's always, like, dropping things, tripping.
Oh, Kevin.
He fell down the stairs this year and, like, had to get crutches.
He probably will listen.
Oh.
Kevin, my brother, is, like, clumsy in, like, an absent-minded kind of way. I've lately been pretty clumsy because I've been wearing, like, taller shoes with a little bit of a heel.
I think I can be clumsy in an absent-minded way because I'm always, like, just thinking all these things, like, imagining things, like, I frequently almost get hit by a car. I do not look both ways. I kind of wish Bella, I mean, if Bella...
You did get hit by a car.
Oh, walking?
Yeah.
Hey, I had the walk signal, I think. Or, like, they had a red light. I know I did get hit by a car. It didn't hurt that much, guys. Don't worry. They just bumped me.
And she kept walking.
Yeah, I was so awkward. I'm such a Bella slut. The car bumped into me, and I was like, oh, and I just, like, looked at them, and they were like, I don't think they know what to do, and I didn't know what to do, so I just kept walking.
They must have felt great, like, oh.
I know, like, oh, can I call the cops?
You could have sued, like, you could have.
I know. It didn't hurt, though.
Yeah.
It's just, like, they just bumped into me, but it was slow, so. It was more shocking than anything. Like, I was so scared. I was like, oh my God.
I was in New York, and it was a one-way street.
Yeah.
I looked the wrong way for traffic. So I'm walking, and this car is, like, banging on the horn.
Oh my god.
It's about to hit me, and I'm looking at it, and for some reason, fight or flight did not take over. I'm just continuing to stroll at, like, a leisurely pace, and I'm just staring at this car about to hit me. It was, like, so weird how I did not have an instinct to move.
I'm very much, like, a freeze type of person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got that in movies when they're about to get hit by a car and they just look.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything about it.
I know. It's hard to move.
Yeah.
It's just shocking. Anyway, back to Twilight. One thing that I thought was interesting is on page 490, Jacob pretty much says that he likes Bella. And Bella says, so this is different than the movie. Jacob shows up to the prom and she actually dances with Jacob. They share a dance. And Bella says, I hope you're enjoying yourself at least. Seen anything you like? I teased, nodding towards a group of girls lined up against the wall like pastel confections. Yeah, he sighed, but she's taken. He glanced down to meet my curious gaze for just a second, and then we both looked away, embarrassed. You look really pretty, by the way, he added shyly. Ah! So awkward. He's basically saying, I like her.
Yeah.
I like you. Which is interesting.
And then Edward acts pretty jealous, and then he says, he called you pretty. That's practically an insult. The way you look right now, you're much more than beautiful.
Oh, Edward.
Oh, Edward. Also, backtracking a little bit, thought it was kind of funny how Tyler showed up at the house to take Bella to prom. Because remember earlier in the book, there were, like, people were saying, Bella, Tyler says he's taking you to prom. And she's like, why is he saying that? That's not true.
And he shows up.
He actually genuinely believed he was.
I think he would talk about that again with her. Email, something. Like, hey,
Did he ask her?
No, I don't. I think that he asked her to the spring dance, and she said no. And then he said something like, "What about prom?" or whatever.
And then did she just not respond?
Maybe.
That's why you have to respond.
I think she kind of just like, in a nice way, tried to get rid of him, and then he thought that meant, well, that's what he gets.
Yeah, true.
No date to the prom. And I thought this was funny. This is when Jacob is telling her what his dad sent him there to do to give the warning. I thought it was just kind of cute. I love Jacob in Twilight. He says, okay, but geez, this sounds bad. He shook his head. He said to tell you, no, to warn you that, and this is his plural, not mine. He lifted one of his hands from my waist and made little quotation marks in the air. We'll be watching. I like how he said, geez, this sounds bad. I don't know.
Yeah. I liked Jacob there.
Yeah. He's still like a normal teen kid. He doesn't really mean any harm or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the acknowledgements right here. And Stephanie Meyer has 3 sons, Gabe, Seth, and Eli. I think it's kind of interesting that she only named one character after one of her kids.
And doesn't she have a brother named Jacob or something?
Oh, maybe.
Is it in there? I don't know.
Yeah, my brothers Paul and Jacob. So those are both members of the Wolf Pack.
Like I couldn't name my fictional characters.
No, me neither.
Like if I wrote a book and I had this, okay, so like, I don't know. I think that would just be weird if I had this character Shannon, like my sister's name is Shannon.
Maybe I could see you naming a minor character.
Yeah, maybe a minor character.
But it's weird that she only picked one of her kids.
I wouldn't want my family members to think that they're similar to who I named them after or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, it's just your name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like, does she think of her brother like Jacob?
I don't know.
Well, I guess Jacob is like a brother to Bella.
I guess.
Her mom's name is Candy. That's interesting.
Candy?
Yeah. Probably a nickname, but my parents, Steve and Candy. Just say mom and dad. What?
Yeah. What? My parents? I would narrate my parents, Dave and Karen.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Her editor, Megan Tingley. I wonder what she's up to now. Her career probably skyrocketed after this.
Thank you for picking this book up.
Yeah. Thanks, Meg. Her agent, Jody Reamer.
Jody, also, thank you. On page 295, I like this part, just because it's the title. Twilight again, he murmured. Another ending. No matter how perfect the day is, it always has to end. He's so, like, I don't know. I like that part of Edward. He is very wistful and sentimental in a way.
Yeah.
Some things don't have to end, I muttered through my teeth. Instantly tense. Girl, control your feelings. Why
I
are
want
you
a
angry
sentimental
right away?
boyfriend.
We'll find you one.
I know. I just feel like
Sometimes
all
I
the
feel like
guys
aren't sentimental.
Not at all. They don't reflect on anything.
Even guys that okay, if you're listening, I'm not talking about you, but I'm just saying that I don't know. I've always thought, oh, he seems sentimental, and then, I don't know, guys just don't seem the same as girls on that level. Like, do you like go through your memories and like write stuff down?
No.
You know, like really treasure all your memories.
Yeah, I've tried. This is omitting way too much.
Admit it.
But I've tried to start writing letters in the past with different love interests.
Yeah.
Mostly one. And they just don't write letters.
Yeah.
I want it to be like the 1800s or something.
Oh,
like
my
emails,
God.
I mean.
Yeah.
And I just want people to like write me a long letter.
I love reading books from the 1800s because, yeah, the men are so romantic in them and do take the time to write letters and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's partly why this book was a hit, is Edward was, like, such a gentleman. And,
Yeah.
like, sentimental. So, yeah, take notes, people.
We should do an episode talking about Edward and then verse real guys in real life.
Oh, my God. Unrealistic expectations in men.
What do you think of the book cover?
I like it. What do you think?
I like it. I think it's
Like iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
I like how it's a red apple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in the life and death book. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you need to have it with a green apple? Like,
I don't know. I don't think that makes sense.
yeah.
But anyway, so the book ends. I like this part. They're just, it's kind of the same as the movie. They're at prom. They're dancing. They're talking about her becoming a vampire. Edward says, "So you're ready for this to be the end, for this to be the twilight of your life, though your life has barely started. You're ready to give everything up. It's not the end, it's the beginning," I disagreed. "I'm not worth it," he said sadly. Oh, that's so cute. "Do you remember when you told me that I didn't see myself very clearly? You obviously have the same blindness." And he does the thing where he's like, "You're ready now?" And he goes to kiss her neck and doesn't actually bite her. And the last line is, "And he leaned down to press his cold lips once more to my throat." The end. When you read that, did you think that he bit her, or did you know it was like a kiss? The first time, not this time.
I think I probably thought that he was about to bite her.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, on her website, I remember she had Q&As, and a lot of people were like, "Did she become a vampire in the end?" And she's like, "No, it's just a kiss." I didn't think that, but I guess some people did.
I feel like when I was younger, I didn't fully read in the same way that I do now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything was a little bit more foggy.
Yeah. Kind of like how the vampires talk about
Yeah.
themselves not getting things.
Yeah. Some things went over my head.
So that's the book. Wow, what do you think?
Let us know if you guys are rereading the book now. I hope we maybe have inspired you. It was a good time. I highly recommend it.
What would you give it? Just like we did the soundtrack grading, A+ to F. Oh boy.
I don't know if I would give it an A.
Honestly, I want to give it an A. Like, I know I maybe shouldn't, but I want to.
I think I might give it a B+.
Okay. I'm the super idealistic one. Ignores flaws, and I think I'm going to give it an A or A-.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's different because I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So am I grading it on that, or am I...
Whatever.
I didn't like the second part as much.
Yeah.
I liked the more, like, lighthearted falling in love parts in the beginning.
I'm excited to read New Moon again. I wonder what that will be like. So stay tuned for that, peeps.
Thanks for listening today, and if it's Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And I think, should we preview our next episode?
Yes.
Our next episode will be talking with two people who like Twilight, but not that much.
And we're gonna grill them on why that is.
They're not haters per se, but they are kind of just meh about it. And so they have things to ask us, they have things to say. And so if you are someone who's kind of meh about Twilight, then you're going to have some people to relate to finally, because we're too into it.
And we're going to just contemplate also why people hate it. Maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And maybe someday we'll get a full-blown hater on the show.
Yeah, like my brother.
And we can fight with him. And I think that would be cool.
That would be funny.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. Happy reading. And happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Harry. I'm thinking of Harry Potter.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'm sweating.
Me too. He is on really high.
We never know how to end these things, so just turn it off now.
Bye.
You can contact us at anotherbiteoftwilight@gmail.com or find us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at anotherbiteoftwilight. Theme music is by Traces. See you next time.